You're definitely on one
I am
today
a little bit like I feel almost slap happy for some reason.
because we survived and we are still sleep deprived.
And I think I'm also just like really happy to be home, and so like I'm able to, I feel like myself right now, like I can be myself a little bit more. I've
I,
had to tone that back with how much public I've encountered lately.
it was a lot of public.
It was a lot of public, and then rolled into a lot of like, I don't know, just like visiting with friends and things like that, that, I'm home finally for the first time in like a week, and it feels good.
We're homebodies.
I am a homebody.
Yeah, it's I love being a homebody.
Same. A little hermit.
Well, and I think that we love our house so much and like we're always like decorating or doing something and then it's like we get to enjoy that and that's exciting.
I want to know if that's normal for everybody. Like, do you obsess over your own home and the things that you do to your home?
When I pull out of the drive and I'm like driving away, I say goodbye to my house. I'm like, "Bye, love
Yeah,
you."
you've told me that before. In fact, I think I've seen you do it.
Yeah.
I don't blame you though. I love this house too. I'm pretty hooked.
I'm thankful for it and you know, it's an older house. We're wearing sweater weather. It's sweater weather
I
right now.
forced
It's
Kirby to get
fucking cold in
dressed.
Wisconsin. I don't know if it's cold where you are, but please send us some sunshine because it is gray and cold. There's
Three
no
out of
reason for it.
six of us slipped on ice this morning. So there's that.
we're
Three
doing
out of six. We're doing good.
we're doing all right. We're doing all right.
uh,
So let's talk. Let's just talk life.
yeah, let's talk life. Life has been life and lately, so I feel like we're kind of just now coming off of like the holiday craziness and getting back into, I think we're excited to get back into a normal routine.
I feel like a lot of people probably are.
Yeah,
You
I
need
think so
it. You
too.
kind of need it. And I don't know if that's a bad thing that we've been so brainwashed to like be so productive. But there were a couple days where I'm like, I got to get my shit together.
Yeah. Well, and I think people like routine.
Yeah.
Most people get into a routine and then their brain
I like to feel
expects that.
accomplished. And I think over the holidays, like my accomplishment was like
Surviving?
cooking meals and eating them.
Yeah. Yeah, that it really was cooking and cleaning and
There
surviving.
was a lot of cooking and cleaning for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
But like it was cool having all the boys together and it was rowdy and we had fun and it was a good time and everything went smoothly and we we got through our first Christmas and I think everybody was happy.
Yeah. And we were okay. We were so quick to get rid of the Christmas tree and clean up and declutter. And
It
that's
was
another
like
question I have for the
it was
public
like the day
people.
after.
But then you had a conversation with your brother yesterday that made me laugh so hard because we were talking, you were talking. I say we because, like, basically, I'm just doing everything without you knowing that I'm doing it with you. Anyway, you were talking to him about how, like, growing up, my mom was kind of the same way, but like clutter was normal in your house
Yeah.
and like messes, and maybe not like messes, but just like too much shit, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen a ton of memes about it where like the day after Christmas, people want the tree down. And that's
Mhm.
me. Like, get that shit out of here right now. And so you were asking your brother, like, why do you think it is that I'm that way versus like our other siblings
Oh,
that are
because I
not?
want to be so organized. It wasn't
Because we're
about the
so
Christmas tree. It was
organized and
just like
decluttering and just like,
everything should have a place and it
yes.
should stay in
And that's
place.
been my motto for so long, a place for everything and everything in its
But
place.
we were also talking about how having kids, it's really hard to naturally let everything have a place and stay in that place.
Yes.
That it's a lot of redirecting and like, let me put this back, let me put that back. And
But
visiting
when,
friends, and he doesn't have kids, and visiting friends who don't have kids and seeing like how well put together, organized, and placed things are. Not everybody's that way, but you know, when it's that way, it's like, oh my God, that's so refreshing. I love it
yes.
so much.
So when you asked him, why do you think that is that you and I are that way and some of our siblings are not, what was his answer?
He just yelled, gay.
Yeah. And it made me laugh so hard because, like, then I'm sitting there and I hear you start laughing, but I can't hear him. And I'm just thinking to myself, what could he have said? Finally, I asked, and I was like, did he say gay? Because that's the first thing that
Yeah.
popped into my head. So I wonder, it rolls into a question of, are gay people just more organized? Do they
I,
care more about the small little things? Because we have some not gay friends that are really super organized,
yeah.
but then I don't know. I wonder if that plays a part in things.
Or does it have anything to do? Well, yeah, I don't know. Like,
Or I know women are just more
two moms
organized in
yeah, and
general.
two moms living together, two lesbians living together. That to me, like, I like to organize, you like to organize. I think that
I
just like
love to organize.
intensifies, like, I'm telling you, I know I've probably told you this before. My favorite childhood book is the Bernstein Bears messy room, and they have like the bears have like the worst messiest room ever, and Mama Bear goes out and she gets all these shoe boxes and she labels them and she organizes everything. That has always been
I have never heard
my
this before.
favorite book because
Wow.
I love a bad, messy situation and like to watch it all play out and get organized and have a
Okay,
place
did
and
you ever
perfect.
get into the Marie Kondo, like,
No,
if you've had it for 3 months or longer and you haven't used it, like, get rid of it?
I've done more
Oh my god,
like the
that
one
show
year
is
mark.
so satisfying.
Really,
She comes into these houses and just goes through everything and asks the people, like, have you used this in the last 6 weeks? And makes these
6 weeks
piles.
seems like
She makes these piles and then she just like, oh,
So this is where
it's like
I
kind
can
of
see
like
where this is going
porn.
because you've done that to me before. But like, I feel like it needs to be like a year.
See, I don't know. It depends on the item for me.
Okay.
But then like, so you say that it's like two women are really super organized and clean and all of the things, and I agree. But like, I imagine that two gay men, any two gay men, probably have a pristine house. That's
Yeah.
how I've always pictured it in my head.
Well,
Is that
and
like gay men probably are so clean and organized, and their houses are probably like beautiful.
I feel like we all like maybe also have a little OCD in us.
I absolutely have OCD.
Yeah. And so does
100%.
my brother, and so do I.
Yeah, that
And
plays
there's
a
just
part.
like certain things that I like done a certain way. And when that doesn't happen, it grinds my gears. It
Does it?
really grinds my gears, you guys.
Yeah, it's true. You do have certain preferences for sure.
Yeah, I do.
Stop it right
Why
now.
did it take me so long to get there with my preferences in life?
Yeah, well, it took me a long time too.
Yeah, so like let's talk about that.
Okay, which preferences are you preferring to talk
Okay,
to
well,
in this?
first of all, I wanted to make a video response to the video that you posted about it was I don't the whole thing where it's like how can you call Kirby they them
Mm,
theirs but still address Kirby as your wife?
there have been a lot of questions and comments circulating your pronouns versus the fact that I call you my wife. And I feel like some people are just there, like trying to like almost like red light me in a sense of like, you can't call Kirby your wife for this reason and for this reason and for this reason. And it just like fuels me to do it even more. I just want to be like, fuck all of you guys. I can call Kirby whatever the fuck I want. If I
Right.
wanted you to be my husband today, I could call you my husband.
You could.
Who's going to stop me?
I'm not. I'm not going to stop you.
Okay, good to know.
I just think like people are so rigid and so like um afraid to just to be what you want to be. And the thoughts that ran through my head were first and foremost, I feel like looking back on life, I probably knew I not even probably, I knew I was non-binary before I knew I was a lesbian, aka a gay person.
Yeah, according to the timeline of when you came out, the problem was you only I shouldn't say problem, but the holdback was that you only admitted it or said it out loud to one
But like
singular
even as a
person.
child, like I didn't have any like big aha red flag of I'm gay and question it. I never fucking questioned it. I questioned more why am I so much like a tomboy, and
Like, who the fuck am
I see
I?
all of my friends going in a different direction and being way more femme and girly, and for me, I feel like I only felt normal when I was hanging out with the guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are all like key things where I'm like, to be non-binary, I just didn't know I could call it that. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know I could have
You were
yeah, I was
uneducated. Yeah.
uneducated and there wasn't representation and visibility, and that's why it's so important to have it today. But as a child, like I had no idea that I was going to
Yeah.
come out in my 40s and be
And I
like,
didn't know you at the time, but I think hearing stories and seeing pictures and videos of like your transition from like child to then teenager, college, young adult, now I feel like that whole middle chunk, you also just allowed people to kind of influence you as to like how you should dress, what you should wear, how you should say things. And
Mhm.
by people, I mean specifically the friends that you associated yourself with.
Right.
Your friends were a big influence on how you dressed and
A
what you did. And
100%. 100%. And like for me, I think that happened naturally because, well, first of all, I grew up very poor
mhm,
with 4 brothers, and every piece of clothing around me was jeans and a t-shirt basically, right?
right.
Nothing fancy. Unless somebody purchased it for me. And so when I started having friends that were girls and I would spend the night at their house, they would be like, "Oh my god,
Let me show you how to
let
do
me put some of
this.
my outfits on you. Like, yes, you can wear this." And for me, that felt like I felt like a rich person. Like
Mm,
I remember being able to wear like name brand clothes for my friends or stuff that I didn't typically wear or have, and that made me feel like I fit in and it made me feel cool.
yeah.
And so my whole life I've just let people give me their clothes
hmm
and would wear them just out of like, well, they gave them to me, so I have to wear them.
Right.
Or if I got a new corporate job, I would have my, you know, girlfriends take me shopping and say, help me pick out all these, and I'm using girlfriends in the term of like they were
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
friends
Yeah.
right at the time. But like, so yeah, I had to have every friend of mine kind of be my stylist at the same time. Was that your stomach? Did it just growl?
Yeah. I don't know if y'all heard that, but it was intense. I think that's really normal for girls. I do. I think that like as a teenager, I did the same thing. Like some of my best friends at the time did their makeup a certain way and then would teach me how to do it, and I would do it that way because I thought that that was the cool thing to do. But I think that you have finally hit a point in your life where like you can associate yourself with anybody now and be friends with or like in a relationship with a very feminine person or
Mm-hmm.
and you still stick to what feels good for you and you
Yeah,
don't allow that influence
yeah,
anymore.
I stopped with all of that.
And that's kind of cool to see because like we were having that conversation last night and I told you that like we were talking about like your birth name versus like where you're gonna head towards in the
I'm so
future.
excited. I am so excited to legally change my name. You guys have
We
no
picked
idea.
a tiny baby, like a gender. It was like
We're gonna have a
it was
gender
like
reveal
we were
party.
pregnant last night and we were like picking our child's name.
We picked a new middle name.
We picked
If
a
you guys,
whole new
some of you
name.
know, and some of you don't know, like Kirby is not my legal name, and my um divorce, my court date is this month,
Mm-hmm.
January 22nd,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as that is complete, then I roll
Well,
into a legal name change
yes.
for my first name, not just my last name, but for my first name as
And your
well.
middle name
And
now.
and I had
So
said I had said I was going to drop the middle name and do no middle name.
yeah. And then we were like,
It
well,
was
let's
it was
just
a
look and
it
see
was
what
adorable
happens.
doing the names list with you last night. Oh my god, I loved it so much.
It was fun, and we can't. And I'm not gonna spill the beans yet, but it's a pretty fucking cool name. And I was just saying, like, I said your birth name, and then I said the new name, and I was like, it's interesting to me sometimes to think about the fact that like I will never know that person.
Mhm.
That person doesn't exist anymore,
I'm so
and
glad. I'm so glad you will never know that person. It's not that it was a bad person. It's just it's hard for the people that did know that person to erase that person. And I
yeah,
love that you don't have that to go
yeah,
off of.
yeah. No, I don't at all. And I think that
That's my stomach. That is my stomach growling.
oh, our stomachs be
They
talking.
talking right
They
now.
talking. I think it plays a part in the ability to um follow your transition with you without, like you said, kind of holding on to that old version of you.
Mhm.
And I think that that has a lot to do with like other people's ability to adjust and move into new transitions that people
Mhm.
go through.
Yeah, it's been really cool. Those of you that have been here from the get-go and watched it kind of unfold and um just rebuild, and like I don't know, like it's cool to see along the way myself getting more and more comfortable, and you too, just like not like transition, but just like with coming out and getting more comfortable and saying like holy shit, like I was just being who I thought you guys wanted me to be. And if I look back in my teenage years when I was starting to be influenced by my friends, like, yeah, I did let them pick out my outfits and do my hair and put on makeup and all of the things. And like there was a piece of me that like loves that treatment. Like you sat and gave me a full on pedicure last night, and I love that special treatment. I love still, whether my hair is long or short, I love you playing with my hair.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that just feel naturally good.
Yeah.
But I look back and think, why did every single female friend that I had want, like, see a possibility to change me into something that they saw for me?
Mm.
It's like interesting to me to look back and think like
I didn't think about it from that
every
perspective.
single one of my friends that were female played some role in making me a version of how they saw me.
But then I think what makes it so clear as to like this being your most authentic version of yourself is that nobody played a role in this except for you.
Nobody.
You did that all on your own.
Mhm.
Nobody came over and said like, this is how you should cut your hair. These are the pronouns you should go by. That was all just, you know.
But so going back to the comment of like, how can Kirby be called wife and they, them, and all of that? I think for me, the they, them, like the gender identity, the who I identify as in my most truest authentic self, like has nothing to do with my birth, sex, like who, the fact that I have female parts, that has nothing to do with it. I'm saying like on a spectrum, I don't feel one or the other, but at the end of the day, like I know I have female parts and I know that I still go by mom. I still am called a daughter or a sister. I know some of, like my brother Jacob, he refers to me as sibling. He really doesn't say sister, but I still have like people in my world that will refer to me as, I don't know. It doesn't feel weird for you. Like saying wife does not feel weird. And I think also like in even straight relationships, sometimes I've been known to like call a man more the wife.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy, you've been known to call Tommy your wife. That's it. That one person who Tommy is a very small percentage of the male race, like the male population. But I don't know. I think it goes so far beyond pronouns because like my youngest son's full name is Atreus. His whole life, which is only 4 little years, but still his whole life I've always called him Trey Trey. That's been my nickname for him. Trey turned into Trey Trey, and that's just been what I've always called him. And so then everybody else started picking up on it, and like his older brothers. And he recently, as a tiny little 4-year-old boy, has expressed he does not like being called Trey Trey. And for him to know that at such a young age and say, I want to be called Atreus, then like for me, even though that's my little Trey Trey, that's my baby, like that's what he wants. So it's not hurting me.
Right.
It's not hurting anybody else. And it's making him happy. So why in the world would I question it, challenge it, or not try to do it? That and that's how simple it really is. It can be it can be a vast variety, like a big variety of different things, not just pronouns.
Right. It's even my nephew, he is named after his father. And so everybody knows it's like, oh, little Tommy, or that, and then you get to a certain age and you're like, I'm not fucking little anymore.
And
don't
he
call
has
me little.
expressed at his tiny little age of 6,
he's like, don't
call me little Tommy.
Yeah, do not call me little. And then because there's so many Tommies around us, I said, I call my son JT a lot of the times, and I started calling Tommy TK, and he loves it. He absolutely loves it, and he's comfortable with it. And I think there's nothing wrong to like check in and say like, what are you comfortable with? What do you prefer? Do you even like that name?
And I think one thing that a lot of people don't understand between us, they hear me say wife and think all about your pronouns and how I could possibly call you my wife. They don't think about it the other way around, which I have tried to make videos about before and articulate it in a way that makes sense. But part of that entire thing is that you're trying to respect the fact that I also don't want to be seen as a straight woman. So that's like a mutual, like, you don't like girlfriend. I don't like people thinking I'm with a man. So where can we meet halfway?
I look like a man?
No.
I'm
I'm
cute.
glad you
I'm
don't
too
look like
cute
a man.
to look like a man.
So it's you also accepting that, like, how am I going to also make Ember happy in the aspect of, like, she fought like hell to be a lesbian and wants everybody and their fucking grandma to know it. So how can that happen?
Right. And we talked through it. We talked about the word partner, and we didn't like
And I don't like
we
that.
didn't like the word partner because
Especially because at the time that's what you were calling Tommy and I was kind of calling Jeff.
yeah, when we were still married and open in our relationship and trying to steer that ship, we were saying I was calling Tommy my co-pilot, my partner, and
And I
that
know
made it.
that's so common in the queer community of, like, partner is almost like an instant, oh, you're gay. Like, if somebody's like, me
There
and my
have been
partner.
times there have been times where I do, just to like make it very clear, like like I think it was like when I scheduled you a chiropractor
Mm,
appointment at my place, and I'm not legally divorced yet. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So there's a fine line where it's like if I just called up and said I'm trying to make my wife an appointment, they'd be like, whoa, 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 pump the
Yeah.
brakes.
I see here you have a husband. Hold
What
on.
is it, a different insurance card? Like it would just be like a whole thing,
Yeah.
right? And so instead of like explaining anything, I just said partner. I
Yeah.
just like went with
If
that.
I don't hear you say it and it's in public, great. Because, like I said, it's very well known that if somebody says my partner, you almost automatically realize that they're gay. So
Mhm.
cool. Love that.
Although I do
At,
have straight friends that are not married and they refer to each other as partners.
at the time, though, because we were calling other people partner, it felt like not significant enough to me. It felt kind of like a stab of, like, damn, I'm also just the partner. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I want to be more than that.
Yep.
So that's kind of how we landed where we landed. And I just think, like, the people that are mad about it because we're not actually married, go fuck yourself. What does it matter? How is that hurting
I
you?
feel like in the lesbian, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, in the lesbian community, it is super common to call someone you're dating your wife.
Or wifey, or,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like,
I know I've seen a few of y'all on TikTok and y'all got several wives.
and I don't
Like,
need any of you guys to be doing it. If that's what I want to do, that's what I'm going to do. It doesn't matter if any other lesbians in the entire fucking world have done it.
exactly.
I'm going to do it because I want to, because you're my wife. You're in my phone as my wife. And
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it like that unless I change it to your
The
new
only
name.
time that sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to overuse it is because someday I do want to have a wedding ceremony and I do want to feel like a big, like, I don't know, like scream it
Like a
from the
hoorah.
fucking mountaintops that
Mm-hmm.
like you're my wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just not with the government.
No, not with the
Fuck the
government.
government.
We will swerve. You know, Maddox was asking me about that yesterday, if we were ever going to actually get married, and he was confused about what marriage is versus engagement. And so he was like, because I explained to him, yeah, we're going to do like a ceremony of love and like we'll say vows to each other, but like we're just not legally getting married. And he kind of sat there and he's registering it and he's like, so Kirby will still, like, get down on one knee though, right? And I kind of sat there and I said, well, I think what you're asking is, like, are they going to propose to me? Like, that's an engagement. And then I joked with him about how you've done that countless times and none of them actually counted.
That you're actually what?
That you've done that countless times, but none of them actually counted.
Oh, yeah, just, testing the
Just,
waters. Just like
likes to fuck
really,
with me a little bit.
really seeing if my knees are they going to give out or are
It's
they
just
going to be
practice.
just practicing? I'm
Practice.
just practicing.
Practice for the real thing.
Who knows? You could be the one to get down on one knee.
Oh, I plan on it.
I mean, there are no gender roles in our relationship, and I
I
think
absolutely plan on it. In fact, even if you do it first, I will still be doing it at some point.
people have a hard time understanding that.
Yeah.
Who's the
Yep.
man in the relationship?
Mm-hmm. And that's another topic that has been very popular on my account lately is like how, like, where does it land when it comes to heterosexual normalities in lesbian relationships? Like you being the breadwinner and automatically being assumed to be one thing or another, or like you being the more masculine presenting lesbian and being assumed to be the top or the dominant one. And people are so quick to associate looks to a personality, and that's wild to me.
Mm-hmm. That's why I feel so centered and like with one of like being non-binary because I'm not tied to any of it.
Right.
Like I can still be femme some
You can
days.
still be, yeah.
And there are some days
Not
where,
femme in the aspect of an appearance femme, though, and
not
that's
not
the
with my
thing.
style.
You,
Yeah.
you don't
So that
ever
but
look
that's where
femme.
but that's where I go back to trying to help educate and people understand. gender identity is so different from gender expression, so different from sex, so different. Like, there are so many shades,
Yeah.
so many shades of the rainbow that you could like land on. And it's like,
My nose feels so runny just because it's so cold in here.
baby,
And if you're watching the YouTube video and keep seeing me rub my little nose, it's because I'm cold.
it is very cold here. But no, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, like we heard before, and I still love this quote every day, is like, you don't have to comprehend it. You just have to have compassion.
Absolutely.
And if someone's telling you they prefer something, what's the big fucking deal?
Well, your saying is so much more professional. It sounds so much nicer. My saying is just give a shit. Just give a shit about the people that you care about.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. If you care about someone, show that you give a shit by just trying.
Yeah.
Just
It's
try.
It's not hard. And, you know, like I've said before, there's no man in this relationship. That's the whole point of
No.
lesbians, you guys. Like, there's
I
no men
walk
in
out
in a lesbian
looking
relationship.
100 times more feminine than you, yet 90% of the time I'm the one like opening or lifting something for you.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't, there's
Big
no.
Daddy over here.
Yeah.
You know, a Gatorade bottle. You open those for me.
A Gatorade bottle?
No, that's the first thing those are hard to open. Have you ever been on your deathbed sick trying to open a Gatorade bottle?
No, I was thinking more like pickle jars and like, you know, like
Still a jar turning motion.
yeah.
But I do think that you are, like, if I was going to attempt to put something together or build something, like, I would need you with me every step
Yeah,
of the way.
I'm good at that kind of stuff.
I'm a
for sure.
baby. I don't have the confidence in that area. Now, my style is flawless when it comes to my gender expression in the more soft mask era.
Yeah.
But
Era.
but
Fucking
avant-garde.
We just went so RuPaul. Era.
Anyways, we got to get on with our day. You guys, it doesn't matter who you are or who you become, or just keep growing. Honestly, just keep glowing up and look yourself in the mirror and just say, like, does this make me comfortable? Am I okay with it? Maybe you don't like your name and you want to change it. Boo, you ain't got to go get a divorce and come out gay like me just to change your name. Anybody can change their name.
Facts. That is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the most important thing is like, don't ask yourself what other people want for you. Ask yourself what you want for yourself. Who do you want to be?
As
What do you
far
want to be
as
called?
we know, we get one life. YOLO, motherfucker. YOLO.
YOLO. You know, I had a conversation with one of my best friends, Legend, the other day about being a more like someone that can kind of switch between like more masculine dressed and more feminine dressed. And like there are days that I can look very, very, very girly and wear a dress and hoops and curl my hair and all the things. And that's kind of where I've been leaning towards lately. Like I've been more on the femme side of how I've been presenting myself. Why are you smiling at me like that? Legend's response to that was that in her experience, she's been a lesbian a lot longer than I have, is that like girls that can switch like that or people that can switch like that tend to lean more towards their softer, like more feminine side if they feel safe. Like they will lean more into the vulnerable feminine side if they feel safety with like they're in their relationship with their person. And then if they don't, they kind of like harden up and get that like, you know, mask shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I thought that conversation was interesting because I agree with it 100%. I think I was leaning very hard into my masculinity during the time that like I didn't feel safe at all.
But we found each other
because
through
of that.
the masculinity and like me feeling like, oh my God, we're the same, right? Had you been very dom femme, I probably would have been intimidated by you. Probably. I would have been a little bit intimidated by you. But because I felt like at that time I still was presenting myself similar to, you know, some
we
days.
were both kind of presenting ourselves almost the same at that point.
Exactly. And that's why for me it was like, that was a, yeah, let's connect because like samey over here. And yeah, maybe you do feel safer and you can lean into a softer version of yourself.
Yeah. I like being the more femme one in our relationship. And that's, I think a lot of that is fueled from safety. Yeah.
And it feels safe for me to be completely comfortable in my skin, in my clothes, how I do my hair, like anything, right? And for me, that feels like I can't believe I waited so long.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thanks for making me feel safe.
I love you.
Aw, thank you. I'm just kidding. I'm
Shut the
kidding.
front door. We
I'm
gotta
kidding. I
go.
love you. Bye.
Bye.